Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, for those of you who just joined us, I'm Vaughn Mansfield. I'm the superintendent here at Homewood Flossmoor High School. And for the last 2 days, we've been trying to give parents and community members and some students too who have logged on an opportunity to get an insight into how we're going to start the 2021 school year. So we have a number of the administrators here this evening to give you an oversight as far as what we've been planning and how we're going to do this thing. It's brand new for everyone. So indeed, if you have some questions, I believe Dr. Anderson is going to give you an opportunity to post those questions. And hopefully through the end of the presentation or by the end of the presentation, we'll have some time to respond to those. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Jerry Anderson, principal. In addition to Dr. Jerry Anderson, if you just seen the slide that popped up, we're going to have Mr. Gary Posing, our Director of Technology, and Scott Sinney, one of the assistant as well, helping us out with the logistics here. Also have Mr. Craig Fenton, our Associate Principal, Dr. Quitman Diller, our Assistant Principal, Dr. Jen Hester, our Director of Curriculum Instruction and Professional Development. You'll also hear from Ms. Jen Rudan, a multi-tiered system of support coordinator, as well as Jim Schmidt, the Department Chair for Guidance and Counseling. We also have Mr. Matt Like, our Athletic Director, and Ms. Gail Smith, our Activities Director. And also, I'd like to acknowledge our Director of HR and PR, Ms. Jody Bryant, and also acknowledge our Director of Buildings and Grounds, Mr. Tom Wagner. And I believe that's just about everyone, and forgive me if I missed someone or forgot someone. But at this point in time, we'll go ahead and get started. And Dr. Anderson, I'll turn it over to you to begin the program.
Thank you. So the format for this evening is we're going to do the presentation, and we're going to talk a little bit about how we got to be in the place that we're in. And then from there, we're going to go into the schedule and then some of the logistics of working online this year. So I hope you find this information informative. So our main reason for moving to remote learning really had to do with safety and security. Because of the size of our school, it makes social distancing very challenging. We also wanted to be sure that we had continuity in instruction. If someone were to become ill in the environment, it would cause us to perhaps lose a number of people having to quarantine, and we felt this way we can have consistent learning for everyone. And be assured that as the year progresses, as the semester progresses, we will be monitoring to see if we can move to a blended environment. So we received direction from the Illinois Department of Public Health and the Illinois State Board of Education when it comes to all of the logistics of our school year. With the state superintendent, we were told that our school day needs to be 5 hours. And that 5 hours really includes both instruction and also student work. I know last year was the first time we'd gone online, and I will have to tell you, it happened like within days. So probably Wednesday we were having the discussion and we were online starting that Monday. So we've had a lot of time to work and prepare for this school year so that we will have an enhanced online learning experience. There will be a structured schedule. We will incorporate all of the research and learnings that we had time to do this summer. There will be professional development for our staff to learn more about how to engage students with instruction and how to keep them coming back to class every day, how to build those positive relationships, to attend to social emotional learning more so than we have and did in the past, because we know our students are having all kinds of experiences. There will be mandatory student attendance. There will be letter grades. We have higher expectations for both students and staff. And one of the things that's going to make this possible is that all of our students and staff will have Chromebooks. So all of the things that I just breezed through very quickly, you're going to have an opportunity to learn more about each one of those things during the presentation. So we'll start off by talking about the difference between synchronous and asynchronous learning. Last year, there was quite a bit of asynchronous learning. Asynchronous is when the students are very much self-paced. It's like the young lady sitting there with her computer. It's her interacting with the content. This year, our plan is to have much more synchronous instruction. We're going to have active learner participation with the instructor. If you could imagine a band teacher being in class and that being the students that she can see on her screen, and then playing music together and her able to interact and give them directions, give them time to go off and do a little bit by themselves and come back. That's what we mean by synchronous. There's active learner participation with the instructor. So we're going to break this schedule down. I'm going to give you the big schedule, and then we're going to go into the subcomponents of the schedule. Synchronous learning will take place 4 days per week on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And with the synchronous instruction, staff will get online at the beginning of the class period, and they will incorporate a variety of class activities. It might include whole group or small group or independent work, but they will be there in the classroom doing activities like they do when we're regularly face-to-face. And there's also time built into this schedule for both academic and social emotional support, because best practice tells us that during this time period, both are equally important to our student success. So if you take a look at Monday, you'll see the school day beginning at 7:30 and periods 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 meeting during the day. And then we'll talk about that learning time at the end of the day. This schedule really mirrors what we do in a block schedule. So Tuesday we'll have periods 1, 2, 3, 5, and 4. On Wednesday, periods 1, 7, 6, 5, and 4. And then on Thursday, periods 1, 2, 3, 6, and 7, just like our block schedule. Now that additional learning time at the end of the day, that's time for students to work individually in study groups. They can review work, conduct study sessions, complete projects. They'll be able to have a little extra time built into the day to do that, where they'll have access to their teachers. This is not a time period that really is inclusive of all homework. You'll see our day starting with teacher professional responsibilities, because our staff want to be their best this year for you too. We'll have time for our all staff meetings, our curriculum writing, time to look at the assessments and the learning of students in class so we can make appropriate adjustments, and time for department meetings. Now, Friday is our day that is different than the Monday through Thursday. That's our unique day in this setting. It's a student work day. And it's an asynchronous day, but it also can be synchronous at times. If you noticed on the right side of the box there, you'll see office hours. So we have office hours set up for 1st through 7th period. So students will be able to access their teachers, and teachers will be able to access their students. Also, there's additional time in that day built into checking with teachers to have individual tutoring, test prep, make appointments with social workers and counselors. This won't be all the time they have to do those meetings, have IEP meetings, have 504 meetings, but this is outside of the instructional day where teachers are conducting regular classes and they won't have to pull students from instruction. So social workers and counselors can access students, students can access them, students can access their teachers, and their teachers can access them. We've also built some time for additional support at the end of the day for our social emotional support, and also being able to have academic support with our test center, our tutoring, and our special education resource and support. So from 2:30 to 3:15, you're going to hear a little bit more about EduGuide, but our counselors will be able to support our students who have EduGuide. And from 2:30 to 4 o'clock, there'll be time for making up tests and tutoring and doing those activities I just described. So when it comes to remote tutoring, additional time, we are going to be considering that. We haven't scheduled that yet, but that's something that we're going to see if we're able to also provide. But there'll definitely be that time between 8 o'clock and 4 o'clock that will be totally dedicated to our students. And on Friday, that time begins at 9 o'clock. Please note that parents can you can contact our teachers and our staff to set up appointments on the way that you regularly do. So they will be here to support you during this year. So now we're going to hear a little bit about Chromebook and textbook distribution for this year. Mr. Fanton?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Craig Fanton, and I am the Associate Principal, and my office is located by door number 1 in the South Building. So a little bit about Chromebook and textbook distribution. As you see from the chart provided, we are going to do Chromebook and textbook distribution. I should also include that will include your IDs or your student IDs. Since freshmen and new enrollees do not have an ID picture yet, they will come in and get an ID picture taken and an ID that day. So for Monday and Tuesday, beginning August 10th and going through August 11th, that is going to be for 9th grade students and all new students to the building. So that's all transfer students. And we will be open from 9 a.m. until 7 p.m. each of those days. On Wednesday, we're going to open it up for 10th graders, followed by Thursday, 11th graders, and Friday for 12th graders. As you see, the time is a little bit different on Friday. We're going to be open from 8 a.m. until 2 p.m. And then Saturday is going to offer a makeup day from 8 a.m. until 12 p.m. For upperclassmen that are returning back to school, we are just going to use last year's ID picture. So your ID will be pre-printed. So when you arrive, you will come in door 15. We do prefer just students, and if a parent does need to attend, surely we would allow that parent to enter with the student. Everyone is required to wear a mask and exhibit social distancing rules. We will allow no more than 50 people within 6 feet apart of each other. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to enter door 15. That's where we enter for events such as basketball games. When you get into the gym, you will receive a number, and at that time, sometime later, you will get called to the cafeteria, and that's where you will pick up your ID and your Chromebook. From there, you will be escorted or head down towards the library through the superintendent's hallway past the dean's office. And by the time you arrive to the library, hopefully your books are ready to go and waiting on a table for you in a box ready to pick up. At that time, you'll pick up the books and you will head down the hallway by the new nurse's office and then exit door 12. We expect the process to be a little bit quicker than normal, and hopefully everybody can help us out and exhibit our social distancing rules that we now follow. Thank you.
Hello, hi, my name is Gary Posey. I'm the technology director here at HF. One more thing, Mr. Fanton, is if you have an upperclassman, you don't have to come twice. You can just pick one of the days, like if you have a junior and a freshman, just come one day, bring both kids, we'll take care of them so you don't have to return twice. HF, we are a Google school. Every freshman is going to be issued a HF Gmail account, so they will have their Gmail account. That is going to be really important for them. That's going to be their key to their classroom, communication with their teachers, and everything. You will be receiving a letter in the mail. We're actually putting that together tomorrow, so it'll either be in tomorrow afternoon or Friday morning mail. Inside that letter will have the students' network. It'll have their Gmail account, their default password, their PowerSchool login information, and the default password for that. Once they get that, they can go ahead and change their password and they're ready to go. If a student ever forgets their password or loses their password, they can come to our website under the student tab, and we have a button that allows them to change, or if they forgot their password, they can recover their password. So it all can be done remotely. So now with our new Gmail account that they're going to have, that's going to give them access to Google Classroom. So once they log into their Chromebook that'll be issued to them, all they have to do is navigate to Google Classroom. It's very easy to find. You go to Google, you type Google Classroom. It's going to be basically the first one on the list. Once they click on that, it will take them automatically to their Google Classroom. And what they're going to see is they're going to see a list of all the courses that they're already enrolled. Every night, their schedule from PowerSchool is linked into Classroom. So as schedule changes take place, they are moved in and out of their classrooms that they have. So there's no need for them to, get the code from the teacher. Everything is automated for them. Once they're inside of there, that's where they're going to find their assignments from their teachers. They'll turn in their work. They'll be able to work with other students by doing collaboration, by using different documents and to collaborate. So this is a very important part of their day-to-day. They will be inside of Google Classroom every day, and that is just like walking into the classroom if we are inside the building. And then another feature that's integrated inside of Classroom is Google Meet. It's very similar to what we're doing right now with Zoom. It's going to allow the teacher to interact with the students. They'll be able to see all the students in their classroom. That's going to assist them with doing attendance, which they'll talk about later. It'll allow the teacher to share their desktop like we're doing here. If in science they're doing an experiment, they'll actually be able to see the teacher doing the experiment. Some of our teachers have already started pre-recording those videos so that some of them will be on demand also. So the nice thing is as long as they know their Google login, their password for their Google account, they'll have access to Classroom, they'll have access to Google Meet. And we do know with us handing out nearly 3,000 Chromebooks, there are going to be times where one breaks, keyboard stops working. So what we're going to do is your first line of defense, send an email to the help desk. Okay, send an email. We will try to resolve as much as we can remotely. If that doesn't work, if your Chromebook just won't turn on, or the keys are stuck, or something's really wrong, we are going to have an exchange program. What you'll do is you'll come into the south building. You can enter through door 12, which is by the gym. Please make sure you're wearing a mask. Make sure the students bring their ID. If the parent is doing this for their student, bring your student's ID with you. On Mondays through Thursdays, we'll be there from 3 to 3:30. Bring us the broken Chromebook and the power supply. Make sure you bring the power supply with us. We'll take that from you, and we're just going to issue you a new one. Wednesdays is 6 from 7 p.m. at night, because we do realize people work. And on Fridays, we will do 8 a.m. till 8:30 in the morning. Like I said, your first line of defense is try that help desk, because there's a lot of things we're hopefully going to be able to resolve remotely instead of making you come in. And the last thing, PowerSchool for parents. I'm not sure how many of you have ever used PowerSchool, but we do have, it's a very nice program. Many of you probably have already used it to register your student for school. That's how you get in to register your student. You go through PowerSchool, that's how you're going to pay your fees. But in addition to that, that's where you can really keep track of your students' academic performance. That's where teachers post their assignments and how their grades, their attendance will go in there. Really can't talk about tardies, because that's going to be really hard to do. But that's where you really see if their academic performance is taking place. The other thing is I really want to stress is PowerSchool has a very nice app that runs on Apple or an Android device. When you download that to your phone, there's a code there. That's our code, BTSK. And we always tell people it stands for Back to School Kids. The easiest way to remember that. Load that on your phone, because if your student was marked absent for some reason, you're automatically going to get a push notification as soon as that teacher puts it in. If your student's grade in a class drops from an A to B, you're going to get a notification on that. So it's a very powerful tool. The other thing is since we are not in the building, we are going to be pushing student schedules out through the PowerSchool app this year. So starting the week of August 10th, when the student logs into their PowerSchool account, or your parents, when you look at your PowerSchool account, starting the 10th is when you're going to see your students' actual schedule start populating. That's it. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Home with Flossmoor. I'm Dr. Dillard, the assistant principal of the North Building, and I'd like to review our norms for virtual participation. Follow the school dress code before logging on. Find a quiet place in your house where you can concentrate. Mute yourself upon entering the room. For questions, wait for your teacher to call on you. To add to what is being stated, use the chat feature and stay on topic. Only one student should talk at a time. Listen to the speaker. Use school-appropriate language. Respect your peers and teacher in the virtual classroom.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jen Hester, Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Professional Learning. You've already heard Dr. Anderson speak about synchronous learning. And again, our students will be engaged in synchronous learning Monday through Thursday. And that learning can take on various formats. Again, we can think of that learning as real time, where students and teachers collaborate through Google Classroom. Those formats will be whole group interactive instruction, where teachers will use various different applications and protocol structures to get students engaged and participate in discussions. Teachers can also use small group instruction in Google Classroom, where they assign students to breakout rooms, and the teachers can pop in and out of those virtual breakout rooms as students work together. Students can also be assigned partner groups, where they work with a partner similarly to what they would in a face-to-face classroom. And then teachers will also be working with students individually, and that can take the form of conferencing, a check-in, or tutoring in the future. Our students will also be working through asynchronous learning. And asynchronous learning, we often think of just a student working completely by themselves in a self-paced environment, but they can also work in small groups where an assignment or a task has been given, and students work at their own pace at different times, but they are actually contributing to a collaborative project. And then again, students can work in partners where they're again working on a task or assignment, and they might be working on their portion. And for all of these formats, assignments will be given through Google Classroom. In all cases, whether students are participating in synchronous or asynchronous learning, teachers will clearly communicate learning expectations, or you can think of those as targets, at the beginning of the learning. Students will be given clear directions for navigating their content and their course, for how they're supposed to work together in groups. And they'll also be given clear instructions for the technology tools and how to use those. As always, teachers will differentiate students to meet the unique needs of all of their learners. And because we're in this unique remote learning environment, teachers will frequently assess the student experience and adjust based on the feedback that's provided for the students. And using our curriculum, teachers will provide frequent feedback to students on their learning, and also use formative or informal assessments. And they'll also use more formal assessments or summative assessments that are given when students should meet particular learning goals. All of our assessments will take authentic formats to engage students. And again, students will be assigned their work and will turn in their assignments through Google Classroom.
Hello again. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit about attendance and grading. So for each class, every day, students will be expected to sign in through a Google form link that will be available each time they log in. It's important that they log in each and every day and for each period. If a student is unable to participate due to illness or other excused absence, we ask that you please call the attendance hotline as seen on here, as you have done in the past if you're a returning student. We will be keeping track of attendance in situations where students are excessively absent from class. Parents and guardians will be contacted in an attempt to remedy the situation by either one of the deans, one of the associate or assistant principals, possibly the counselor or social worker, depending on the situation. Next, for grading, we will follow our regular grading scale for each of their classes. So when you meet with your teachers, they will provide you with a syllabus that will describe their grading policies. So we're going to continue to follow that as we would normally. Teachers, counselors, and or deans will communicate with families if there is unsatisfactory progress during these classes. Something a little bit different because of our situation, we are going to use incompletes. They will be given in lieu of Fs until a specified date, and then those incompletes will default to an F if the work is not completed by that specified date. We will get that date out to everyone, so parents, students, teachers, everybody will be well aware of that date before we get there. So just make sure that your students stay on top of things. And once again, there should be strong communication between the school and the families.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jim Schmidt. I am the Guidance Department Chair, and my office is in the South Building in the Guidance Office Complex area. I want to continue the conversation briefly on grades and stress that grades are real. Grades are important. Grades mean something. Both when you receive them, they're indicative, okay, of your growth and your progress at that time. They mean something now when you receive them, but they also mean something in the future. When you're in high school, I'm not sure if at your junior highs you receive grade point averages. At the high school, you will receive a grade point average. It's actually called an accumulative grade point average, and it runs over your 4 years throughout high school. It's an average of the numerical value of each of your grades calculated at the semester time. Only semester grades determine your grade point average, but your quarter grades are used along with your end of the semester assessment exam. Those 3 items are used to calculate your semester grade. So the work you do on day 1 is just as important as the work you do on day 80, okay, at the end of the semester. And the way it works is in the first semester, you have 2 quarters, quarter 1, quarter 2. Quarter 1 ends sometime in the middle towards the end of October, and then quarter 2 will end just before winter break. And then quarter 3 will run January, February into March, and then quarter 4 runs March, April, and May. Throughout your 4 years in high school, you only have 8 semesters of grades that are factored into your cumulative grade point average. This is important to note. You don't wait to build a strong grade point average sophomore year, or junior year, or even senior year where I'm finally going to get it together. The most important year in building a grade point average is your freshman year, first semester. The conversation we normally have with students and parents is, yes, I want to go to college. We are assuming that all of our students, until they tell us otherwise, their plan is to attend the university upon graduating from HF. Universities will use the first 6 semesters in order to determine admissions. So that's really through your junior year, okay? Does that mean your senior year is not important? Absolutely not. It's very important. We'll talk about that later on. I want to stress to you again, how do you raise your grade point average? Before you even have to worry about raising your grade point average, focus in on developing a strong foundation. HF defines success academically as A's, B's, and an occasional C. The reason we do that is because your grade point average, your cumulative grade point average, will equate to something around a 3.0 or higher. 3.0 or higher cumulative grade point average opens up a wide range of college opportunities in addition to scholarship opportunities. So keep those in mind. Higher grades equals higher grade point average. Your freshman year, first semester, out of the gate, day 1, you begin building that foundation. It's very important that you stay on top of your grades. If you are struggling in any way, all right, if you are not earning an A, B, or that occasional C in class, you need to reach out to your teacher and you need to reach out to your school counselor. And we will see if we can help you rectify that. Changing grades positively or negatively, that will impact your grade point average. So keep those A's, B's, and C's. The other thing out of the guidance office I want to focus in on is the social emotional support. That is the foundation in many regards of you being able to function at a high level academically, socially, and personally. As a school, we are focusing in and providing tier 1 supports across the board to all of our students. Our physical education, health, and driver's education classes will be ground zero for providing that tier 1 support. All students will be given access to an online EduGuide social emotional support program. We piloted it this summer and very successful. Kids raved about it, and we're looking forward to implementing that with your children throughout the school year. Once again, this will mainly be focused in their PE and health classes, with the other level of support, a more individualized level or a group level coming out of the guidance office. Counselors and social workers will be available to work with individuals, to work with groups, and parents, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. If you see your child struggling academically, personally, social, emotionally, please reach out to their teachers, reach out to the guidance office. That is what our job is here for, and that's what we enjoy doing, working with your children to help them be successful. Thank you.
So two-way communication. Sometimes parents think when their children come to high school that they get to step back a little bit, but you really don't. You still get to stay very active and very involved. So it's going to be important this year that we work together. We're still going to be able to have meetings through email, phone calls, Google Meet. We'll still be working together in a number of different ways. So I just want to go through some of the different ways that we have communication here. So your teacher is going to reach out, your child's teacher is going to reach out if the student hasn't logged in, not completed assignments, or not following the norms and doing what they need to do in the virtual environment. But you can also reach out to teachers. If you see that your child's struggling, need help with missing assignments or to make up assignments, or if you have extenuating circumstances that you feel that teacher needs to take into consideration, definitely reach out. Counselors and deans will reach out to provide that academic and social emotional support that Mr. Smith just talked about. Also college and career readiness information. If that's who you talk to, the counselors, if you have questions about your child's schedule or their four-year plan, which are all the classes are going to take to get them to graduate. If they're not logging in and having excessive absences, you might hear from a counselor or dean. And the deans will call you if your student's not dressed appropriately for the virtual environment. We do want students to get up and get dressed in the morning and not just pop out of bed and get online. So that's all. And you can reach out to deans and counselors to inquire about academic and social emotional supports. If you have something going on they need to know about, you have a question about your child's schedule or the classes they're taking towards graduation, and also to discuss college and career. Now, when it comes to our social workers, when they sense that your student needs additional social emotional support, and they'll provide support to your child if there's extenuating circumstances, a good resource for outside agencies. We don't do all of the therapy and everything here. When it's beyond the scope of the school, the social workers will know where to go to get additional help, whether it's therapy, financial assistance, or other things going on with the family. They have those connections. You, please, as families, please reach out to social workers. If you feel that your child needs academic or social emotional support, and especially that social emotional support, if you want to let them know about extenuating circumstances, and if you need additional resources as a family, please ask. So you don't have to necessarily take a picture of this slide or anything, but just wanted to show you the name, the alpha assignment, the extension, the email addresses of our counselors. And this presentation will be on the website, so you'll be able to access this information. And this information itself is on the website too. And these are our social workers. Again, we have social workers, alpha assigned, those are their extensions and their email addresses. You'll also notice that there's a split between our general education social workers and our special education social workers.
Hi again, this is Jen Hester, and I have some important information to share with you about special education on behalf of Dr. Angela Taylor, who is our Director of Special Education. So in remote learning, extended time means one additional day. If a student has extended time in their IEP, they will receive an additional day to do an assignment or submit a project. Bookshare will be used for audiobooks. Bookshare is an online library for students who struggle with reading, and that would be students who have a goal for reading in their IEP And with Bookshare, students can access books in alternative formats. Case managers will designate 2 days a week to correspond with students and parents on their caseload if needed. Case managers and families will use this as time to communicate about questions that they may have. In terms of general education courses, teachers will communicate their office hours to students and parents. During office hours, students and parents can contact teachers to get one-on-one support, to ask questions, and receive clarification of questions. For co-taught courses, teachers will collaborate as co-teachers and communicate with students to provide the accommodations documented within their IEPs. For our resource classes, cross-categorical classes, and for the VAST program, which stands for Vocational Achievement for Successful Transition, the courses will be live each day. Teachers will correspond with students through a live platform about assignments, executive functioning needs, projects, and many more things. Additionally, IEP meetings will be scheduled Monday through Friday and will be done via teleconference. Related services will be provided using teletherapy, and technology will be provided for most students using Chromebooks. Some students will use iPads as a way to access the curriculum. Parents will be contacted directly if their student has a unique technology need or device for remote learning. If you have any questions, again, about special educational services, please email Dr. Taylor and put remote learning in the subject line. She'll be happy to help you.
Good evening. My name is Matt Like, and I'm proud to serve as your Director of Athletics. The athletic department is located in the North Building. Our governing body is the Illinois High School Association. The IHSA Board of Directors met today and developed a return to activities plan. The fall season begins on August 10th and includes the following sports: boys and girls golf, girls tennis, boys and girls cross country, and girls swimming and diving. All other sports will compete in designated seasons categorized by winter, spring, and summer. The physical exam and vaccinations required for freshmen will be used to participate in athletics. If you haven't done so already, please complete this requirement as soon as possible. The athletic department is currently hosting summer sessions for the majority of our sports. We are following the IHSA Phase 4 return to play guidelines. The coaching staff has worked very hard to create positive experiences for our kids. I truly believe that our cautious approach has been a big part of our success. Our research tells us that students involved in extracurricular activities have higher academic achievement. Participation in athletics completes the high school experience. The extracurricular opportunities at HF are unparalleled in the state by offering a wide variety of programs, 30 sports and 80 activities. Our students can find a place where they can apply their personal skills and talents. There is something for every student. We want our students to get involved, especially as freshmen.
Good evening. My name is Gail Smith, and I'm the Director of Activities. The Activities Department is located in the South Building by door 12 by the South Gym and Cafeteria. As Mr. Like has already mentioned, we have over 80 activities outside the offerings for sports that students can get involved in HF. You can break those down to about 7 categories. The Honor Societies, which recognize commitment to academic success and service. Peer Services, providing academic and social assistance. Traditional student government. Competitive activities in the conference, the IHSA, and at a national level. You have performance groups, You have special interest groups, which were initiated at HF, and you have your traditional media in addition to a broadcasting and radio complex in our building. As Mr. Like said, we're learning of new guidance from the IHSA. Activities are also looking for guidance from other organizations that they fall under on a state and local and national level, and those guidelines are forthcoming, and we will continue to update our activities as that guidance is provided. We too have been offering some activities this summer. We did our summer theater performance. They are finishing their production. They did that virtually. We're about to start our Leaders in Theater Ensemble, which is another dramatic performance. We did a drumline band camp last week, and we are also currently doing a band camp this week. So we have also been trying to get our students re-engaged into activities as permitted by the guidelines from the state. We have been meeting with our sponsors and our coaches to try to come up with solutions for the guidelines and the parameters what we have to maintain. Our sponsors are looking forward in developing ideas and plans and opportunities for kids to be involved virtually. Those things will be forthcoming, and we're also waiting on the state and a couple organizations to provide their platform of how they're planning to do competitive activities. For example, debate, speech, scholastic bowl are a few examples that are working to have competitive virtual opportunities for kids throughout the year. So as we work towards providing these opportunities for your students, we will be putting out communication. To participate in athletics and activities at home at Flossmoor High School, we use the 8 to 18 software platform. We can send those instructions out, but that will be how you get involved in sports and activities at HF. The information for athletics and activities is provided in the back of the student parent handbook that you'll receive during the textbook distribution. So you can read about the activities that we have to offer, and we'll also be able to update our website so that you can reach out to sponsors and coaches to get involved. Posing mentioned, we're preparing a mailing to go out tomorrow for our freshman and transfer student orientation that will be held on August 12th at 9 a.m. It's a virtual orientation to help students acclimate to the virtual educational setting for this year. So you will be receiving that information in addition to your logins for PowerSchool and for Google Platform.
So right now we're remote online learning, and we hope at some point that we have our remote online learning and we're able to allow some of our lab classes like auto, culinary, engineering to come back and be able to be in the building to experience some of those hands-on activities. And perhaps on Fridays, we're taking that into consideration. What are some of the things that we can do? So then, in moving to blended, that's when we would divide our students into A and B groups with alternating attendance days. With the C group, they could stay online, and students would be online synchronous Monday through Thursday, and our Fridays would stay the same. So that's just a progression, kind of thinking about moving back to being full in school. And we will be evaluating along the way the safety and making sure that, because we really do want our students to be back in school. We miss them in the building. We want your child to come to the building and learn it for the first time if you're a freshman parent. So we are monitoring things along the way. So the very first day of classes is Monday, August 17th. That begins our year. Your students will have already received all of their logon information. They'll know what to do with regards to Google Mail and Google Classroom and Google Meets, and we'll be ready to go. So one of the reasons we wanted to have this tonight, separate from the sophomores, juniors, and seniors, is we wanted an opportunity to address your unique questions as parents of freshmen. So on your device that you're using right now, in your web browser, if you would please put the letters www.menti, that's MENTI, menti.com. And then you're going to put the code in 457743. That's going to allow you to send me questions directly, and they will appear on the screen. I'm going to stop sharing this, and I'm going to put up the other presentation for you so you can see the questions as they come up, and everyone on the team will answer your questions to the best of our ability with the information that we have at this time.
Dr. Anderson, will we still be able to see the slide with the questions as they appear?
Yes, you will.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so again, you'll see at the top of the screen, www.menti.com, and you're going to use the code 415317, and I will be able to see your questions, and you will be able to see your questions as they come in. What will be the process for sports team tryouts?
Matt and Gail, can you address this question?
Yes, so today was a big day for us. Literally an hour before this presentation, the IHSA released the guidelines of what our sports seasons look like moving forward. So I already referenced the fact of the sports that are going to be in the fall season, and we will get more information on our website of the timelines of the other sports seasons. The process for tryouts is we always like to have a minimum of 3 days with our kids. Not all of our programs or sports are cut sports. So we try to give as much opportunities to kids as possible. But we are competing at a high level at our high school. So it is competitive, and we do have some sports that are cut sports. We identify those on our website as well. But again, we try to give fair opportunity to all the kids that want to be a part of our programs. And the minimum amount of days is 3 that we take a look at the kids for a tryout.
Ms. Smith, could you speak to activities, even though some aren't quote unquote tryouts, but an overview if students are indeed involved and want to be involved?
Sure. We are, as I mentioned, we use 8 to 18 as our registration platform for athletics and activities. So whether it's for athletics or activities, you're going to register online for the sports and activities that you're interested in. And the tryout times will be indicated for the sports. And as Mr. Like said, they'll have their 3 days to try out. At that time, once the teams are selected, they'll be placed on a roster. It's a little bit different for activities. You'll register online. The sponsors will be able to see who's interested and be able to start contacting them and telling them how to get involved. There are some limited activities that do have a tryout process. The obvious one would be theater when we're casting for shows. So it just depends on the activity, within that activity, how you could have a process for determining your participation. For speech, for example, we do have a novice team and a varsity team. A novice student could, after the conclusion of the novice season, advance to the varsity level if they're prepared for that next step. But the coaching staff for the speech team does determine their placement and whether they would be in one event or two, but they have a maximum of 2 events that they participate in. So it really just is dependent upon the uniqueness of the activity of where they would be placed. But they surely have less situations where they have to do a tryout. Theirs is more determining leadership roles.
Thank you very much. Another question, Dr. Anderson?
What happens if a teacher needs a day off? Will there be subs available for synchronous class days? Mrs. Bryant, would you like to address that?
Sure. We will have subs available that are other classroom teachers. Teachers have expressed a willingness to sub for their counterparts in order to be able to continue that more consistent synchronous instruction. It's always better to have somebody with that background knowledge or content knowledge to provide that instruction. But at the same time, some days it will be a regular substitute teacher that may not have that direct content experience, but will be able to facilitate the instruction that the teacher has left. So in that respect, it is very similar to the regular school year, where sometimes there is a substitute that comes from within the content department, or sometimes it's a substitute that is facilitating the very detailed plans of the teacher. So we will have both options available, and it will probably be the former more often than the latter.
Will there still be an E period? And if so, what time would it start? So yes, first period and E period are the same. So first period is starting at 8 o'clock. It is a requirement to use the school Chromebook. Can you use personal computers or laptops?
Yeah, we're issuing every student a Chromebook, and one of the reasons we did this is looking back at what happened in the spring was we allowed students to use our Chromebooks or an iPad at home or computer at home. And one of the challenges that really came out of that was our teachers were having to do tech support because the student might have been on an iPad trying to turn in an assignment and there was a problem with the iPad, they couldn't do it. So I think we lost a lot of valuable time with that. So we're really encouraging you, please use our HF Chromebook that we're issuing to you to alleviate some of those technical problems so our teachers don't have to deal with those. Now, a personal computer will work. That would be a backup. I look at it that way. That could be your backup device. So if your Chromebook's not working, you can't get in to exchange it today, go ahead and use your computer, but make sure you get back onto our Chromebook just so that we can alleviate some of the classroom interruptions.
Is there still an expectation to pay the fee for gym uniforms and lockers since students won't be on campus? So I would say that we are really hoping to be on campus still and provide those uniforms and locks for the students. So if we aren't able to do that, then we do have the possibility of refunding money to you. But we do want to plan to be on campus for second semester, and that's what we're working towards. How will practical hands-on courses, such as culinary, be managed? Will they still be offered? And absolutely, they will be offered. Hands-on classes can use simulations. They can do demonstrations. And as I said, when we have an opportunity, they can also do things at home. But we're hoping that we'll find a way as time goes forward to bring students in for some of those hands-on activities. And yes, absolutely, those classes will still be offered. What is going to happen with guitar, musical theater? Also, are students going to take tests to be placed in advanced Spanish? So yes, guitar, musical theater, those classes can take place. I know you might have seen the screen earlier. Teachers can give instruction virtually. They can share music. Those classes, while we are virtual, will take place. And our students are going to take tests to be placed in advanced Spanish. I would recommend that you contact the Spanish department chair, and how we will do that. That person will be able to share with you. That is Mr. Jonathan Miller.
Dr. Anderson, I might add, if you go back for a second, I'm not sure what some of the logistics are for equipment and those types of things. I know we house our guitars in-house, and students have usually played those from class period to class period. So if students are indeed enrolled in guitar, I guess we'd have to talk to Ms. Wargo, the department chair, to see if those guitars are able to be signed out. And if they're not able to be signed out, then parents may need to provide those instruments, rent those instruments or purchase those instruments for that class to continue to move forward. So that's something they may want to contact the department chair just to get some additional information. Or maybe we should get the department chair to make a note to get some of that information out to parents who are signed, or students who are signed up, students and parents who are signed up for those particular courses.
And I know that the department's already trying to problem solve over those issues.
Thank you,
And
Dr. Hester.
I was reminded that PE uniforms are not part of school fees. So those are just bought at the campus store once students have enrolled. Ninth grade students that already have HF Google Access, either summer or last year early classes, will their ID login change?
No, that's an easy question. No, they will not. Once a student is issued a Gmail account, they keep that for their entire 4 years.
Can a female student wear a head wrap or hat in the comfort of her own home if it's part of her outfit? Mr. Fanton?
Yes, I would say absolutely. When we talk about appropriate dress code, just making sure that if you're going to be on camera, that we're not showing too much or wearing something completely inappropriate, but that would absolutely be appropriate if you're in your own home.
My child only has 6 courses. Does that mean his school day will start with second period? And when it comes to the schedule, that would be correct.
Yeah, Mr. Schmidt, would you like to answer that more in depth? It is actually when that particular class is offered, 6 classes with or without a first period. Is that possible?
Yeah, Vaughn, thanks, Dr. Mansfield. Yeah, most students with 6 classes would begin second period and then go to the end of the day. Although there are some students that opt in for 6 classes, 6 credit earning classes where they could start first period and then have a study hall during the day. Very few students do that, but some do, some opt into that. If you have any questions regarding your courses, so 2 things are gonna happen. Yesterday, the courses that are appearing in your child's schedule, those were mailed out. You'll be receiving them in the mail sometime probably within the next day or 2. It's not your child's schedule, it's their courses. If you have any questions regarding the classes that are listed on there, please feel free to reach into your school counselor or myself, send us an email, and we'll be able to address that. For the person that answered this question regarding 6 courses, if you are interested in 7, once again, email your school counselor. If you're fine with 6, but you'd like us to make sure that those classes are periods 2 through 7, go ahead and email us as well, and we'll make sure of that.
Are students required to wear gym suits for their gym class? And that is not why we are remote. They are not required to wear gym suits, and we come back blended. Right now, guidance is that students would not have access to locker rooms and would need to come to school prepared, dressed to participate in PE. That's what it's like in the blended environment. And that's where we are right now.
Dr. Anderson, could you give some examples of that? We talked about maybe on those gym days wearing sweats or certainly gym shoes to some degree as what appropriate dress or examples of that. You don't necessarily have to be in a PE uniform, but just something comfortable and appropriate for some type of physical activity.
Absolutely. Will freshman photos be taken on site for IDs? Mr. Fanton or Mr. Posing?
You know, I got this, Craig. Yes. The 2 days, August 10th and 11th, when they come to pick up their books, we will have an ID station there. That's the reason we did the 2 days for freshmen, because we will have to take their photos. It will take just a few extra minutes to get that photo and print that ID out.
And I just wanted to let our audience know we're going to answer as many questions as we can. We're going to go approximately till 8:30. For those of us that paid for PE uniforms and locks, how will those fees be addressed? And I think we did this one. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the next one. How often will remote learning versus attending school be evaluated? Dr. Mansfield, would you like to take that one?
Well, a lot of this is going to be driven by the state in terms of what guidance they give us to go to the next step. As Dr. Anderson mentioned, in the different scenarios, our next step would be to come back in a blended fashion. But in terms of actually assessing the remote learning, whatever mode we're in at the moment, it will be continuously assessed. And we'll make a decision probably if we were to transition into another stage to come back blended or full, would probably be at a semester, or excuse me, at a quarter or a semester. It's really difficult to do that in the middle of a grading period just because of the circumstances and the type of work that's being given. So it probably would be a smoother transition at the quarter, I would believe.
When are school fees due? Also, will they receive a list of school supplies they need? Mr. Fanton?
So when you register your student, initially you're going to prove your residency online by submitting all your documents, or some people have come in and completed that process in person. Once you're approved residency, then that will open up the rest of the forms. You need to go through and fill out those forms. Mostly that's just verifying information, uploading some health documents if needed, and then signing off on some agreements at the end. And then at the very end of the process, it does direct you to the pay fees button, which is off to the left. And that gives you that opportunity to pay your fees. You will receive the discounted rate. Anybody that completes the registration process by August 7th next week, you will receive that discounted rate of $295. If you wait until after then the fees do go up to $350. So please take advantage of that. When you do that through the fees, if you have any questions about how much you owe or how much you need to pay, then you can contact the business office. And as far as school supplies, I think that depends on the teacher. So you will contact the teacher. You won't get a list of school supplies as you sometimes do in junior high and elementary school. So I think after that first day of school, when you get your syllabus, that will give you an opportunity to list anything that you may need.
How are PE classes being handled?
I can take that one. PE classes will be handled very similarly for all of the classes. Students will be participating remotely, and they will be focusing their time on social and emotional learning. They'll be focusing their time on content from the actual PE class that they signed up for. And they'll also be focusing their time on wellness and fitness.
Is the freshman orientation the same as our students webinar? And there will be some difference. It'll be tailored to the student and the student's participation, how the student accesses things, the processes that they need to go to. So it'll freshman orientation this is a little bit different.
Ms. Smith, would you like to add on to that since you are organizing that in terms of what freshman parents and students may anticipate expecting next week, I think it is, or 2 weeks?
Sure. We're putting together a virtual orientation where we will introduce the students to Dr. Mansfield, Dr. Anderson, and a couple key people that are going to introduce the counselors, the deans, nurses, social workers, and student support services that they will be working with throughout the year if they have any questions. So we do have a couple pre-recorded messages for them. And they will be assigned to a virtual Google Classroom where we have high school students who are going to talk to the students about schedules, virtual learning, and some other things about being an HF student plus being a high school student. And then they'll be able to ask a few questions in that Google Classroom. And then we'll do a quick overview of activities in athletics, and we're going to wrap it up with our school fight songs. We're anticipating it being about an hour. And as we mentioned earlier, the instructions to access the virtual orientation will be coming through with the mailing with the logins for PowerSchool and Google.
Dr. Anderson, I might add also, we've got about 15 minutes left. I'm not sure how many questions you have in the bank there, but we do plan on collating all the questions and putting together a Q&A type of a sheet that we will post on the website at some point. So you've got about 15 minutes.
So will this entire webinar be available for replay? And the answer to that is yes, that will be posted on the website also. Is it too late to register and bring in the medical records needed?
Absolutely not. In fact, we need everybody to either log in and register through PowerSchool. If you're having technical difficulties or you don't have access to technology, you can certainly do that at the school. So we're encouraging everybody. We actually extended it. We pushed a notification out today to extend the registration through the end of next week on Friday. And if you need to turn in medical records, once again, you can do that in person. You can email them directly to our nurse, or you can upload those documents when you do the registration process.
All right. And I think
yeah.
So this is a little bit different. Do you want to address that one? If an upcoming freshman does not have his or her dental and physical exam completed, does that mean they cannot log into classes on August 17th?
I think we're going to make that executive decision here and say, no, they can log in, but before we return at some point in person, we will need to have that documentation in school. So if you haven't had that opportunity, we understand, it's been backed up with doctors and possible, trouble getting into see the physician. So between now and when we get back into school, if you could get that taken care of, that would be much appreciated. But please make sure that you log in and participate on that first day.
Craig, I might add, is there an absolute completion date by which time they have to finish before they're withdrawn from school?
Well, typically, we changed that last year. It was at the start of the school year, so they had to have all that information in prior to being allowed to attend. But since we're not in person, it kind of gives us a little bit of wiggle room here. So, I guess we haven't determined that. We haven't really received much guidance from the state either on that process. But that's something that, we would have to discuss to figure out if we want to have that drop dead date for that information.
Sure. And for parents, that's a state mandate. That's not a local school mandate, just so you know that. So you'll get additional information from us. But please, as Mr. Fanton said, try to get that in as soon as possible.
And if I can just add, if there's an interest in athletics in order to participate on the opening day to practice and or try out, all of that documentation would have to be complete in order to participate.
Are there any activities suggested for freshmen?
All of our activities are open to freshmen, except for things that qualify for example, the honor societies where you have to meet a certain grade point average and be invited. So unless it's something specific like an honor society, Students are open to participate in all the activities or to try out or audition in any, thing that they're interested in.
What if students want to meet outside of school hours on a group project? Can they still use Google Classroom on their Chromebooks? Mr. Posey?
Yes, if students want to use their to work on schoolwork, yeah, we have students doing that all the time. That's the one thing nice about the technology is, when we were younger, we all had to get on our bicycles and go to our friend's house. Now they can just open up their Chromebook and they can meet as a group and work on projects just like they're in class.
Will softball be played in the spring or fall this year?
Again, we just received this today, so let me pull this out. There are four designated shortened seasons that start with fall, winter, spring, and then what's considered a summer session. So the summer session is May 3rd through June 26th, and softball falls into that season. Again, released by the IHSA today.
What was the name of the website for tryouts for sports and activities?
It's called 8 to 18, and you can find it by going to the Homewood Flossmoor High School District webpage, selecting either athletics or activities, and the first thing in the drop-down menus for athletics or activities will redirect you to the respective 8 to 18 websites for athletics and activities. And within there, you're going to look for the heading that says registration, and then it'll take you to the home screen to create an account, to log in, depending if you already have an existing account, so that you can see what's offered. We still do have to open up our athletic seasons and our activities. We have not done that yet. We've been waiting for the guidance today and for some of the other organizations. So we will be doing that very shortly.
I missed last night's presentation, and I have a freshman and junior. Was there anything different for juniors? So the presentation on these 2 days are very similar. As I mentioned, we just wanted to have freshman parents have an opportunity to ask questions that might be unique to them as a group. There will be a presentation for juniors to talk about those types of things that are specific to juniors when we do our student meetings.
The only thing I might say, Dr. Anderson, Mr. Posing mentioned it. And Mr. Posing, could you mention again if parents do have combination of students, whether that's a freshman, sophomore, or senior freshman, or junior, senior, what that means in terms of registration and when they can come in and actually get their Chromebooks and other materials?
Yeah, we're going to be set up every day to handle both. I mean, we're going to change our procedure a little bit on that Monday and Tuesday because we know we're going to be taking more ID pictures. But yeah, if you want to, if the best day is Monday for you to come in, bring your freshman and your junior in both on Monday or Tuesday. And if that doesn't work, bring them in on the day of junior. The last thing we want to do is, parents to have to come in 2 different days. We'll be able to accommodate, you bring them both your kids on a single day.
I would also like to add that we designated the 10th and 11th for freshmen so that they could have their Chromebooks before orientation.
For students who have choir, how will that work? So very similar to how we're going to do our band and our PE, it will be virtual. They will be able to participate with their teacher and sing. The teacher will be able to provide music for the students to read from, to sing from. So choir, as long as we are virtual, is fine. When we come back to a blended environment, the guidance is for choir to be outside because at this point in time, it's not safe to be inside for choir. So that is where we are at this point in time. Okay.
I might add, Dr. Anderson, you've got about 5 minutes before we have to sum it up. So if you want to take a few more questions and then come to a close.
Will there be late start on Fridays? So yes, Friday does have a little bit later of a start. On Fridays, it's later for staff in the sense that staff will not be available as early for students. Students can still begin their day at 8:05 and work asynchronously on assignments. 9 o'clock, however, will be the first time that there is a office hour, and that will be for the first period class. Okay. If parents want to set up PowerSchool parent accounts, how do we get student access ID and access passwords?
This summer, we actually went through and created all those accounts. You probably received an email earlier this year in the summer with your information. The best thing to do is send an email to the help desk. Include your student's name and ID number if you know their ID number at this point, and we will get that information right back to you.
Could a student join multiple clubs and hold a position in student government?
Yes, students can actually do multiple activities through the year. It's a matter of the time commitment for the activities that they're interested in. So we have varying degrees of participation between athletics and activities throughout the year. Normally we could have a student come and take 7 classes, go to an athletic practice, and then join a music rehearsal or a theater production or some other type of activity they're involved in. So it really just depends on which clubs and activities they're interested in. You could meet once a week, you could meet, once a month, it could be 6 days a week. It just depends on the interest of the students and if those schedules are compatible to maintain the academics level that we are striving to have our kids, maintain, as Mr. Schmidt mentioned earlier. So it really does make sure that you check out the demands of the activities and focus on which ones you really want to do. But yes, they could do multiple activities in addition to student government.
Okay, I think I'm going to do one more question here, maybe 2. So usually freshmen have assemblies at the beginning of the year to orient them to high school. What's the virtual onboarding process?
Normally what we do is we have a freshman orientation where we have a presentation in the auditorium. They meet the guidance counselors, the deans. We break them into rooms to work with our high school students to teach them about a block schedule. We do an hour-long tour around campus, and we introduce them some of the activities and athletics that we have on campus, and then we kind of run out the day, and that's about a 5-hour day. 4 or 5 hour day. This year we have put together a 1-hour virtual presentation to kind of do some of those things that they need immediately for virtual learning. When we reconvene in person, we are obviously considering another modified freshman orientation, transfer orientation to give them the tours around the building. So we'll have to determine that when it's appropriate and plan the things that they need to know when they're on campus.
And just to add, also, we will have on the first day of school, there will be some virtual meetings held through PE classes where students will learn more about the school and to help get them oriented. So we will add that onto the freshman orientation activities that Mrs. Smith runs. So we are going to stop there with the questions. Just know though that I have all of the questions that you ask, and as Dr. Mansfield mentioned earlier, we will be answering those questions. We're going to do an FAQ, so we'll have questions, frequently asked questions and answers on the website, so you'll be able to see answers to questions perhaps that you were unable to have answered this evening. And just really want to thank you for being here this evening. Just know that we are here to support your child's success. I still remember having my own freshman and my first freshman in high school and how nervous I was. And now here we are in this virtual world that we weren't expecting to be in. But things are going to be good, and we're going to make this a good year. And we need your help to do that. We want to work together. This is a partnership, and we are here to work with you for the success of your students. So please don't forget, don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions or you need some additional information. Dr. Mansfield, did you have any closing comments? We have about a minute or so to go.
No, just to thank all the administrators for taking their evenings to help present to our parents. And hopefully you got a chance to put names with faces so that when you do have a question and call, you'll feel at least a little bit more comfortable doing that. Dr. Anderson and myself try to make ourselves available as much as possible, and we'll certainly get you to the right people as well. But this is hopefully what you can expect in terms of direct response to questions and also trying to resolve any challenges that you might have as we're all in this together, as Dr. Anderson said. We are looking forward to the start of the school year, very happy and positive about that aspect. Certainly going into this for the first time in this fashion is somewhat of a challenge, but at the end of the day, there are still only solutions. That's my philosophy. So we will get through it. And your students actually pretty unique and special. So they are the first group. So they'll have a lot to talk about in the years to come. And again, we're looking forward to the start and hoping to make it as positive as possible.
Thank you again for attending.